34 years ago, only thing the major drug problem we had was marijuana. Cocaine was a rich man's drug because you had to pay $200,000 or $300,000 a kilo. Now they just throw it at you near about to make crack cocaine. So we've been fighting this for years, but I'm going to tell you something. The states, the government's throwing money at it, keeps throwing money at it, and we have not resolved the problem. We're fighting the fight, in the battle. We're just, we're going to have to start trying winning the wars. And that's the purpose of trying to bring us together collectively, because it's been a burden of mine since I've been elected as sheriff to have some type of program in the county jail. And my jail administrator, I know Walden County, in Calhoun, no, not Calhoun, but Jackson and Gulf does not have their jails, but if they could take this back and present it to them, we'd appreciate it. But still, on the street level, if we can break this cycle of the revolving door of bringing them back, not only that, if you break that cycle, it breaks that cycle that you're handing it down from mother, father to their children. So you've accomplished something when you've done that, just breaking that cycle of handing it down, that next generation is not falling in that trap. There's not a person in here that I probably couldn't touch that a family member, a close friend, or someone that you know personally that drugs has not affected their lives or affected and destroyed their families. So we in the law enforcement community has got to get out of this shell that we're in and kind of this mentality sometimes, because when I was young, it's lock them up, throw away the key. Well, that doesn't work. When you get older and wiser and you see the things, we've got to have something in place to try to break this cycle. The secular side of things is throwing money at it through the government, state, whether it's federal. I know of programs, it's just the recidivism rate is very poor. Also, not only that, I've got personal friends I was just talking to weeks ago trying to help one of their people get into Dunkling on the female side. They've thrown tens of thousands of dollars to the private sector just for one person, and it's still not working. So what they're doing is looking towards the flesh of the man and spirit of the man. Working on the outside, trying to work to the inside. But we all know, those that we attend church on a regular basis, know that God is the only answer in these situations. There's very few, now don't get me wrong, some in the secular have come up, and I think Brother George is one of them. That's one of the few that's come out of the secular side, but there was somebody there that presented Christ to him and God to him. That's the way he came out of the program. So if we work on the inside out instead of on the outside towards the end, if we can get that spiritual man to be the leader instead of the fleshly man, we're going to see some changes in these people's lives. Dunkling. I was not aware of Dunkling until John Braxton, he's the point guy here, has got me interested in it, and he's been helping for people for years to get into Dunkling. He had a friend years ago that they owned a farm. I'm going to just tell this story for short time, because our time being short. But he had a friend that was plenty of money, big farm down in South Florida. His father passed away, and he just went the wrong way. And so they got the judge to talk him in and send him to Dunkling. Come out. He's doing great today. There's people here. We just testimony after testimony after testimony after testimony of people going to Dunkling and coming back a changed person. Some of them come back, say that we can't make it here, so they go back and live down there. There's still people staying down there now as we speak. They don't want to come back here because they know what's going to happen. So this is the purpose of this. It's coming together. Now, I know the First Baptist Church over there, we sent our missionaries down there, Jeep Sullivan from the Baptist Church and my chief deputy, and our ambassadors, man, and they did come back. They didn't keep them, so that's the plus. So I know that the First Baptist Church over in Bonif is kind of, since August, been meeting every Tuesday morning and praying. I apologize that I have been able to come, but we're glad we was able to send those guys down there and look at the program. And John has, many of his people as he's referred down there, has never seen the program. But he went down and his eyes were open. So that's what we want to do. And one church, one community, as big as this is not going to be able to support this program by itself. So that's the reason why collectively together, through the sheriff's departments, law enforcement agencies, and our churches, we can make a difference in our community. We are sending people to Dunklin when we need something up here to help our people. We're sending so many people down there. John and I started talking about this, that we need something in this area for these people. So they went down and looked at the program, come back, and I was all encouraged and just told me how God had blessed them and had directed their steps and their footsteps while they was down there. Sheriff, did you go? Sheriff McKeithen went down and looked for it firsthand for himself and saying, I've not made the trip yet. I've not been able to get turned loose. But I plan on going. My understanding in talking to Brother Shelley and Brother Jeep that they have a emissary going down in January. And I don't mind helping renting a bus and sending how many people, that 2 bus loads, 3 bus loads from this area down there if they're willing to accept them to look and see. Because this is something that's been a passion of mine for some time, but it's just never come to fruition and never worked out until now. So we as a community in each community in each county, if we come together, we can make this thing work and put something together. But the most important thing is, let God build it. Let's stay 2 steps behind him and not 1 step ahead of him. And that's what we've all said and agreed on. Let God build it, and if God puts it together, and if you got something in your heart that you can do, and us come together as different communities, then this thing will work. Let God put it together, because we've got people hurting in this community. I got people in my family. I'm sad to say that I've sent numerous, and I made this statement at one of the things. Somebody said, well, I'm not for this good old boy system at the sheriff's department. I told them I wasn't either, because there's 8 or 9 or 10 of my own relatives out at the county jail. We didn't know whether to have the Haddock reunion there or at the house. And that's sad. That's sad. That's sad. And we don't have nowhere. And it's like Sheriff McKeithen and I said, it's sad that we can help one of you and yours more so than we can help one of our own, because the public just chews us up if we try to do that. But it's been a burning desire of mine in my heart, because it's not just locking them up and throwing away the key. When I can go to Bay County Jail and talk to one down there, and Rick, I appreciate you giving me that opportunity, and try to change just one person's life to break that cycle, it means all the much more to me than all the stars you can put on this chest, because that is up there and not the rewards down here. So that's the purpose of this. So I'm going to shut up and ask the brother here that's been through the program to say a few words, and we'll go from there.
Well, thank you for letting me be here with you. My name is Matt Curry, and hey there, how are you doing? A lot of familiar faces. Glad to be here today. I was one of those guys in the sawmill with their shirt off 10 years ago, and if I went back down there today, I'd leave my shirt on. But I was proud to take it off back then. But 10 years ago, man, it seems crazy. I grew up in Bonifay, Florida, and was raised there, and had a background like a lot of people do. Played sports. Had a good family. Parents divorced when I was young, but other than that, had a great family. Had great friends and great support around me. But just started getting involved in the wrong things in high school, going to parties, played sports, hung out with a bad crowd at times, and that kind of just began to grow. And by the time I went to play college baseball, I was pretty much out of control. Alcohol turned into drugs, ecstasy, cocaine, just about anything you can think of, I was a part of. And left playing baseball, left school, came back home to turn into a drug head, basically. And so I pursued that career for several years. And as a young child, I knew I had a calling on my life. Shelley Chandler was my youth pastor and like my father to me. And I knew I had a calling on my life to be in the ministry. I was completely running from that. Had a lot of hurt and pain in my life from things, and just did not want to deal with any of that. And so for about 3 years there, I basically just fell off the deep end and just really got to the point where I didn't even care if I lived or died, or my life was worthless to me. I can remember being 21, almost 22 years old, and showing up at Shelley's office before church one Sunday about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I've been up for 3 or 4 days, and just no hope, didn't care about anything. And I went into his office, and I just said, I'm just ready to give up or die or whatever. And through a process of events, I was able to, God made a way for me to go to Dunklin. And, I was scared to death when I got there. I didn't know if I was going to be, in a chain gang on the side of the road, or I didn't know what I was in for. And, man, it's just an amazing place. I mean, you have to experience it. You can't really explain it to anybody. And I was there for 20 months, went through the program 10 months. God really just changed my life. He really showed me that, life was more than just about being sober or staying away from drugs and alcohol. He had much more for me than that. He had a hope and a future for my life. And I truly began to believe that for myself.